What's up, Ambush? I'm excited for what is likely the last Mario Kart DS track in the Booster Course Pass. It could be Luigi's Mansion, it could be Airship Fortress, it could be... Who invited you? Wave 4 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass is here, with exciting content shown off in the 2 trailers released for it. But how do these retro tracks and the new Yoshi's Island tracks stack up to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's base tracks and the tracks released in Wave 1 through 3? I previously gave my thoughts briefly on Wave 1 and Wave 2 in my video on Wii U games on Nintendo Switch, and my thoughts on Wave 3 in its own dedicated video. And it's fair to ask, does Wave 4 have the same highs and the same lows as the previous wave? And Wave 1 and Wave 2 for that matter. Amsterdam Drift from Mario Kart Tour starts off the Fruit Cup. I love this cup. And yes, it's another track based on a city. Visually, this track looks It certainly looks like a track taken from Mario Kart Tour with minimal visual enhancements. The flat, simplistic style of buildings return with this city track, and I am once again left questioning Nintendo why they could not simply add some texture mapping to these buildings, much like what was achieved with Toad Harbor. And the grass. What is going on here? Why are there different grass textures and no transition between the dark green grass and the normal grass? And the flowers. What are these sharp plastic-esque polygons? Frickin' Porygon-looking flowers. Wouldn't textures look better? Like, you know, this game? And why are the plants plastic looking? Can the residents not water their plants? Because I'm only seeing plastic plants out here. I heard that plastic plants love water. The music of Amsterdam Drift is very fitting for a track set in the Netherlands, and it establishes a chill, pleasant vibe that is appropriate for its setting. It's a pleasant musical edition that is distinct from the usual high-octane musical tracks present in many of the city tracks from Tour. Now, when it comes to the track design, the first lap is based on the OG Amsterdam Drift, taking players through Jam Track Street and gliding towards the Chans. After passing through a field of windmills, players are then thrusted back into the city via a barge and passed by the trams and back to the finish line. The second lap is based on Amsterdam Drift 2R, in which players are then thrown into the water of the canal until eventually reaching the finish line with item boxes?
Holy crap, I'm in Fortnite!
The final lap is based on Amsterdam Drift 3R and Amsterdam Drift 3, utilizing a road unused in Mario Kart Tour and taking racers towards the canals once again.
God!
Racers are then driving amongst the tulip fields and after a few sharp turns with a ridiculous amount of arrows, drive through the finish line. Overall, the track design of Amsterdam Drift in 8 Deluxe is decent, even if just okay. The first lap provides a fun and fairly intuitive layout, but the second lap leaves much to be desired. Going through the canals underwater for an entire lap is not all that interesting. The third lap achieves the goal of the second lap much better, with the canals only taking up a short section of the lap, and racing through the tulip fields is pretty satisfying. Except for that final stretch. Nah, that kinda sucks. I'm gonna consider this track a low for the Booster Course Pass. It's not bad, just kinda The second track of the Fruit Cup is Riverside Park from Mario Kart Super Circuit. Well, it truly does remind me of home. Honestly, I'm here for more GBA remakes originally from Mario Kart Tour, as Mario Kart Super Circuit has some of my favorite themes for tracks in the series. When it comes to the visuals, Riverside Park looks great in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in comparison to many other Booster Course Pass tracks. The lighting and the skybox do wonders to make this track look absolutely beautiful. While the grass and stone textures don't hold a candle to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's base graphics, they are some of the best looking assets of the Booster Course Pass. While assets such as the trees and wood bridges retain the cartoony art style of Tour, they still look visually appealing within this lighting engine and don't stick out. Overall, the track looks pretty darn good. The music of Riverside Park shines too. It is a lovely jazz music track that very much fits the track's jungle motif, and I love all the instrumental choices. The track design of Riverside Park is fairly simplistic, but that's not to its detriment, as all of the turns are great to drift around, the ramps are enjoyable additions, and it's overall a fun track to race on. The pluies are a fun additional hazard to dodge, and add an interesting mechanic as hitting them with an item will make them drop an item, which can work in your favor if you grab a mushroom. Overall, it's a great track, and definitely a high of this wave. Speaking of highs for this wave, Wii DK Summit is the third track of the Fruit Cup, and it's great to finally have this awesome track return in a new, quotation marks, Mario Kart. Average Mario Kart Wii fans W.
Oh my...
God damn, this is a good game. What the fuck is this? Visually, well, I like the snow texture, it looks great, but otherwise, I'm not in love with this track's visual style. It does look great for a Booster Course Pass track, but I much prefer how this track looked in Mario Kart Wii, aesthetically speaking. I just really loved that ambient fog. That made the track look more visually interesting in Mario Kart Wii. This fog really reminds me of home, bruv! While the trees in the background mountains are faithful to Mario Kart Wii, I would have loved to see the more realistic trees and background mountains from Mount Wario. Is that a command or a request? The visual additions from the signage all around the stadium portion of the track to the return of the Jumbotron from Wii, which was not present in Tour, are nice touches that add more character. Overall, it's a good looking track, nothing mind-blowing. The new remix for Wii DK Summit in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is phenomenal. I personally prefer this remix as I absolutely love the live band guitars, but I can't say it's better than the original. The track design of Wii DK Summit and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just as excellent and satisfying to race on as it was in Mario Kart Wii. The jumps are just as fun to trick off of, the half pipes allow for some cool techniques during the final snow-covered section, and even the Wii DK Summit double skip returns from Mario Kart Wii. This is an extremely rare Nintendo speedrunning W. Overall, it's Wii DK Summit. It's awesome. It has a great track design retained in this game, a phenomenal remix, and good enough visuals, so Wii DK Summit is certainly a high for me. The fourth and final track of the Fruit Cup is Yoshi's Island, a wholly new track not previously in Mario Kart Tour or revealed to be, but it later was. And what a love letter it is to the Yoshi's Island series. As someone who played both the SNES and GBA versions of Yoshi's Island in my youth, I absolutely adore this edition. Visually, well, hot damn does this track look distinct and pretty good. Even the simplistic art style of some of its assets are reminiscent of the Yoshi's Island art style, an art style that doesn't emphasize realism. Otherwise, the road assets, the orange grass asset, and the cloud asset all look pretty great, alongside many of the other assets used on this course. What makes this track a visual treat, however, is just the amount of references to Yoshi's Island found within it. There are all sorts of Yoshi's Island characters and enemies, such as Poochie, Huffin' Puffins, Goonies, Chain Chomps, Stilt Guys, and Crabs, with the latter two serving as track obstacles. And then there are the Yoshi coins, which are probably more valuable than Canadian loonies. Why are they called that, Canada? Anyways, they have a unique jingle when players pick them up, a very cool small detail that Nintendo has done before with the Zelda rubies and the Animal Crossing bells. Additionally, the track has a unique race fanfare, victory theme, and results theme based on the game's start, goal, and score themes respectively, which is really charming. The track's music provides us with a lovely remix of the Yoshi's Island athletic theme, surprising, huh, for a track titled, yeah, that. Holy f***, Yoshi is green?! I don't know why, but this adorable remix and the goal theme remind me of the music at Disneyland. It really puts me in the mood to be a Disney adult and yell at a poor Disney employee dressed as Pluto. Why are you not on all fours? When it comes to the track design, as we leave Yoshi's house, we enter the first turn, which leads into a water section, then leads into a turn into a castle, then a cavern with another few turns, then a glide ramp over the volcano from... You know, it's a fairly simplistic but stylistic track, but hey, wait, I'm not done yet. After racing across the clouds from World 5, we are then gliding back to the last turn, but there are options. If we hit this winged cloud flying around, blammo, a shorter and more optimal red bridge pathway opens up, which is similar to... yeah, Yoshi's Island. This is a pretty fun gimmick, and it allows you to jump through the goal ring similar to... I really love this track. It has a fun layout, great visuals and references, a cool new mechanic, and great music. It is for sure a high for me in this wave. The Fruit Cup is honestly one of the best cups in the entire game. It's pretty consistent, even with Amsterdam Drift. But what about the Boomerang Cup? Is it any good? The first track of the Boomerang Cup is Tour Bangkok Rush. Wow, a city track. What a shocker. Holy shit, Yoshi can be yellow too? When it comes to the visuals of Tour Bangkok Rush, it's about what you'd expect from a Tour City track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It retains that visual style. However, the water on this map looks fantastic, and the lighting and fog does a lot of the heavy lifting to make this track look more visually appealing. And the music, yeah, it's pretty darn good. It fits the track well, and while it's not personally a music track I'm super into, it's what you'd expect, a great live performance version of Tour music. As it pertains to the track design, the first lap of Tour Bangkok Rush is, well, Bangkok Rush. Shocker. Now you're gonna tell me that Yoshi can be red? Why is he f***ing red? The second lap is mostly based on Bangkok Rush 3, as players eventually turn onto a street with markets towards a glide ramp, taking racers through the Democracy Monument, and then a right turn leading back to the finish line. The third lap is based on Bangkok Rush 2, with racers once again going along the SkyTrain rail and into the market, but mixing it up by taking racers through a parking garage. And then racers are bouncing upon, or driving around if you are lame, the tents of, no, and back along the SkyTrain rail pathways before the finish line. While I find this track fairly intuitive to race on, that doesn't make it interesting. During most of its duration, this track just kind of feels big and empty, and this parking garage, it annoys me. Why is it so bland? The track isn't terrible to race on, I just don't find it super compelling to play very often. A new retro track from my childhood Mario Kart game, Mario Kart DS? Well, out of fan-favorite Mario Kart tracks from Mario Kart DS they already have in Tour, you know, like 2, which did Nintendo choose? Oh. Well, at least it isn't Figure 8 Circuit. Out of all of the amazing tracks in Mario Kart DS, they chose one of the least memorable, least interesting ones? Okay, and it came to Tour 19 hours before? Visually, it looks like an up-resed Mario Kart Tour track, the exact conversions that have been present in Wave 3 and Wave 4, with better but simplistic textures that still look much better than Wave 1 and Wave 2. The lighting is pretty great, especially with this new wooded section added to the track, which certainly makes this track a tad more interesting. The music on this track, though, I have no complaints. In terms of the track design, I'll admit this track is still fun to drift around, and the Goombas and Fire Piranha Plants add some fun obstacles. As does this Wiggler who wakes up on the third lap. He's a fun, quirky new addition, and I like this new wooded section. It is so much more visually interesting than just more dirt road. But that's really where my praise ends for this track. I don't hate it, I just don't love it nearly as much as DS's creative, visually interesting, or even innovative top-tier tracks. This has to be a mid-tier for me. While it improves a lot on the original, it still doesn't reach the heights of many of Mario Kart's best tracks, especially those in DS. And finally, after 3 waves, Wave 4 gives us a retro track from Mario Kart Double Dash. It's kind of baffling it took this long, especially with Daisy Cruiser, Dino Dino Jungle, and DK Mountain being in Tour, but I'm not going to complain about getting a newly remade retro track built for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Especially since it's Waluigi Stadium, a great choice from Double Dash. The Wah Man is back. And he brought us motocross, brother. This is definitely one of the best looking Booster Course Pass tracks, up there with 3DS Rainbow Road. While some of the background textures, such as the rock textures, look pretty meh, the muddy dirt texture, the mechanical piranha plants, and the stadium itself all look phenomenal. The added tires are a fun track hazard, and all of the new signage is a nice touch indicative of a large stadium, as are the construction vehicles. I also love these neat little details added to the Jumbotron. It adds even more character. Though I do miss the sentient dancing signs, they were so charming, but I'll take the blue neon signs. Like, what the f***? Yoshi can also be blue? Speaking of charming, this remix is not only a faithful remix, but it's a phenomenal live band performance with some great synth additions indicative of the original track. This definitely has to be my favorite version of this theme. The track design has seen noticeable changes in this remake, with the mechanical piranha plants serving as less of a formidable obstacle, but do look visually pretty cool with 2 of them slanted at an angle, and the half pipes returning from Mario Kart Wii. However, the craziest changes to the track layout lie with the 2 new raised anti-gravity routes accessible via the half pipes. They provide racers with another route to chase or avoid foes on, and are pretty cool. Overall, this is one of the best remakes of a retro course in the Booster Course Pass. The attention to detail and the addition of new track elements and routes make this track feel right at home in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is easily a high for me for this wave. And that brings us to the final track of the Boomerang Cup Tour. Wait, another city track? The first and last track are city tracks? Well, I guess I know why it's called the Boomerang Cup. Anyways, the last track is Tour Singapore Speedway. 3 city tracks this wave, and I would have preferred another retro track from the main Mario Kart series, but fine. I'll try to be fair here. Visually, this track is simply an upgraded tour track. However, it is still a very pretty track, from all this neon lighting to this water. I want to drink it. The music is a live band performance of Tour's own music track, and it's still an energetic and partying music track. I would probably hear this in the club as I'm awkwardly standing in the corner. What? Yeah, I wish I was at home playing Pokemon Platinum instead! The first lap is the OG Singapore Speedway, with the first route leading to a cannon that fires racers to the roof of the Mariana Bay Sands before gliding back down to the float at Mariana Bay and back towards the starting line. The second lap is a combination of Singapore Speedway 1, 2, and 3, taking racers into Chinatown, through Moorloin Park below Mariana Bay Sands, and towards a different finish line. The final lap combines Singapore Speedway 2 and 3, taking racers over the Gardens by the Bay on these fun conveyor belts, over the Art Science Museum, through Chinatown, and to the finish line. Out of all the city tracks, I like this track's layout and content the most. It's intuitive and interesting, and has some fun gimmicks such as these boost rings and the conveyor belts. You know what? I'll let this track into high tier. I actually really like it. But that's not all, because much like Wave 3, there's bonus content, and that's a new character originally from Double Dash, Birdo. Birdo has 8 different colors? Holy fucking shit! Much like Yoshi and Shy Guy, Birdo has 8 alternate colors to choose from, and that's a pretty cool additional feature. Who doesn't want to be pastel green Birdo? Birdo's addition just makes sense. This is one of those characters that makes you think, wait, this character wasn't in Mario Kart 8 already? There is signage in Royal Raceway that directly references Birdo. They are a mainstay at this point, much like Diddy Kong. Wait, he isn't in the game? Give us Monkey! But back to Wave 4, it's a really great follow-up to Wave 3 and demonstrates how the Booster Course Pass just keeps getting better and better. There are certainly more highs than lows here. Wii DK Summit, GCN Waluigi Stadium, and GBA Riverside Park are all phenomenal offerings that look pretty great in comparison to Wave 1 and Wave 2, and play pretty darn well. Yoshi's Island is a fantastic and charming new track, and after playing it in Tour, yeah, it definitely fits better in Mario Kart 8. 3 city tracks from Tour was a bit much, but Tour Singapore Speedway was a surprising highlight, and Tour Amsterdam Drift and Bangkok Rush, yeah, they're fine enough additions. I'm pretty indifferent to them. While I personally would have preferred a different Mario Kart DS track than DS Mario Circuit, the Booster Course Pass at least provides us with a better version of this track. Overall, this wave is just as good as Wave 3. I can only hope with the last 2 waves that the quality continues to increase. But what if it had Airship Fortress? No, don't transition!